A fight different, man. A fight is always gonna be different. The mental preparation of preparing for a fight is not like any other sport. Now, most sports, it involves team sports. Most individual sports like chess, tennis, um, poker, those sports, they got nothing compared to combat sport. MMA, boxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling, kickboxing. It's a different level of mental preparation. Now, in my old video, I spoke about mentally preparing yourself for a soccer match. Now, in this video, we're gonna be talking about mentally preparing yourself for a fight, any fight, street fight, competitive fight, any fight. Now, I'm gonna say story time. I got in a lot of school fights. Yeah, back in my day, we was traditional with beef. We didn't necessarily have the internet like that, keyboard warriors and shit, talk shit online. Nah, it was, I'll meet you after school by this section and we'll brawl. We'll squabble. Now, every time I laid down the smoke and I told some guy who I was beefing with, listen, we gonna fight after school. Legit, all I thought about during the day of school was that fight. I didn't care about the girls. I didn't care about the teachers. I didn't give a shit about the homework or the exams or the tests. All I could care about as a young soldier, a young boy, was how I was gonna duck, how I was gonna shoot, how I was gonna punch, how I was gonna be dirty. Because in a street fight, you're gonna have to be dirty. Not saying that in competitive combat sports, guys are not dirty, but that's one of the things you have to mentally prepare yourself for a fight is that the guy might be a dirty fighter. So you just gotta be as dirty as he is. Another thing you gotta mentally prepare yourself before any fight, the possibility of losing, the possibility of being in a humiliating sort of position that a lot of men, a lot of boys can't put themselves under because they fear losing. You got to mentally prepare yourself for the unpredictability because in a fight, just say for street fight, for example, he could kick you, he could throw a stone at you, he could possibly have one of his boys jump you the moment you start connecting your shots. What do you do then? In a competitive streak, like let's say, for example, MMA, if this guy eye pokes you and the ref don't see it, what are you gonna do? You got one eye, what are you gonna do? If he blows your calf, what are you gonna do fighting on one leg? If he happens to dislocate your shoulder, what are you gonna do fighting with one arm? These are the mental preparations that a man must go through before any fight. Forget about, okay, the possibility of your family or your friends having to watch you take a beating, because that's also something we got to mentally prepare for. The ref going against you, the judges going against you. There's so much things that you got to mentally prepare for before a fight. Was your training on point? Physically, can you keep yourself in shape even when you're not in camp? Because you got to stay ready in the fight game. Stay ready so that you don't have to be ready. Can you continue to train even though the fight's not coming? Can you continue to show up even though nothing is happening? Can you continue to believe that you will see that fight even though half the times with the corruption in boxing, MMA, and any combat sports, the favoritism, can you still show up? It's not for everybody. Fighting is not for everybody. Fighting is not for everybody. It's not. You got to take in consideration that you just might die fighting in a competition, fighting on the street, fighting in a war. As the gladiators, they legit fought to death. There is no winners or losers. It's just the last man standing, the last man who's alive. What we do as boxers, mixed martial artists, kickboxing, even this armed fighting and the bare knuckle fighting. It's modern day gladiating. In a different time, we'd all be in the Colosseum with weapons of mass destruction, trying to kill each other for the greater, excuse me, for the king, the emperor, for the chief, whoever it was. And what we'd be rewarded for was not money. You'd sometimes be rewarded for land, or they'd give you 3 girls or a wife at minimum. There was no fame. Well, there was, I think, in the Roman era. But think about it for a second. Those guys had to mentally prepare themselves for legit death because that's the only way they knew. They had to mentally prepare themselves to kill another fella so that they can get out that Colosseum because they were slaves. Most of the warriors were slaves. Not saying that competitive sport right now and a whole bunch of athletes are not signed under a bunch of slave contracts. It's just capitalism right now. We're in the era of capitalism in combat sport. But you can legit die from fighting. And warriors, guys who are warriors, not fighters, guys who are warriors are legit willing to die because they know this is a God calling gift. A fighter can run away. A boxer can run away. A kickboxer can run away. A jiu-jitsu guy can run away. This it's okay being beaten up, but you running away, it tells a lot about your character, your personality. Do you have the mental preparedness to stand there even whilst taking a beating, whilst taking punishment? Listen, I lost a lot of fights growing up. Too many. It is hard to count because usually I was fighting with guys who were bigger than me, but that's not an excuse. I lost the fight because majority of the time they were better than me. But the thing is, how I got respect from the guys who I was fighting or my bullies or the guys that were trying to kill me was that I fought back. I was getting my ass kicked, but I fought back. And what happened? I gained their respect. They left me alone after that. This is why we gotta bring back bullying because a lot of these Gen Zs are a bunch of pussies because they ain't never been slapped, ain't never had to go up against adversity. I'm not saying children should be fighting, but I'm just saying, like, as a man, you should have the ability and the responsibility to be dangerous when needed. Because when you don't know how to fight as a man, what are you? You're vulnerable. Think about it. Back in the days, every man could squabble because they had clubs, they had fight clubs for the 9 to 5 Jita, for the plantation factory workers. They had 9 to 5s, white collar, where they would just squabble for the sake of squabbling. And now we got these fucking Gen Zs doing TikToks and dancing. Grown ass men busy dancing so they can get clout on social media. This world is gone, people. Masculinity has been deteriorated from certain so and so groups and this fucking social media thing. But ultimately, you gotta be mentally strong to be fighting in any competition, in any street fight, any corner. You gotta mentally prepare yourself, even in the street fight, to know that, listen, I'm gonna be in a corner. I ain't got no footwork. I ain't got the space to be dodging punches if I'm being placed in a corner in a street fight. If I've been placed in the alleyway, there is no space for me to be moving around this guy. I gotta use these two weapons and this because a lot of fighters don't know how to use this. In fighting, you gotta outthink and outsmart your opponent because it's chess. That's if you got fight IQ. But we'll talk about that in another video. You gotta be a warrior, bro. You can't just play fighting. You can play fighting with your girl, with your nephew, with your niece. You cannot play fighting in a sparring session. Even that, do you have the mental preparedness to go light, to control your shots in an actual sparring session? Sparring session is a fight. But to prepare for an actual fight, you got to visualize your moves. You got to anticipate certain things that might happen, that might also cause you to lose a fight or win a fight. These are the things that go on in your mind because listen, you can train all you want. Your coach can tell you all the game plans he wants. You can watch all the videos you want, but at the end of the day, you're going to be in that square or octagon or alleyway or that corner by yourself. There is no other sport like it. It ain't even a sport, man. It's a blood sport. It's gladiating. It's a fight. A fight is not a sport. It defines what is real, who is willing enough to go on their shield, who's willing enough to give up. There's a whole lot of psychological warfare happening before a fight, and you got to deal with those things before a fight. Mental resiliency. That's the key in all sports, including the fight game, people, which happens to be not a sport. It's just a way of life. Like and subscribe. This is Good Karma. And until next time, people, I am the reclusive artist, 33. I'm out.